us. Tom, uh, this is amazing, and the book is timely. I can't overemphasize that word, timely.
Yeah, in fact, that's part of what compelled us to write the book because nobody else had written it. I mean, we were actually kind of amazed by the fact that just for historical reasons alone, you have a medieval prophecy 900 years old, and the very next pope, following Pope Benedict XVI, is the last one on this list. And the author of the prophecy tells us that two things will happen. One, he will be a pope or an anti-pope that will be under the control of Satan. He'll actually be the pope that will take the role of the false prophet who will help give rise to the Antichrist. A lot of Catholics, by the way, don't know that it is a very common eschatology in their history that many of their leaders, many of their prophets, their famous apparitions, La Salette, Fatima, some of the most celebrated men that were members of the church, Cardinal Henry Manning, wrote and detailed how at the end of time, Rome would become apostate and would become the seat of the Antichrist. This was actually a common thought among intellectuals in Romanism, in Roman Catholicism. But taking the timing of this prophecy and looking at all of the other signatures around it, something, again, is very strange about the year 2012. One thing I'd want to add, Gary, first of all, we are not date setters, and I know you're not a date setter. Prophecy in the News is not a date setter. So we're not setting dates. We're looking at why were so many other people pointing to the year 2012. And then we're looking at some things that may be beyond coincidence in that around the world today, you could take Matthew 24, and I dare anybody to take any part of Matthew 24, whether it's talking about signs in nature, earthquakes, what's happening in the Middle East right now that looks like, what do we got, something like 19 countries with the United States right now that are staging major war games in the Middle East, but they've excluded Israel. I mean, there's prophetic signatures all over the world, and right in the middle of it, you have what looks to be the final prophecy from a Catholic mystic who pointed to the coming of the false prophet, and it looks to be playing out in the year 2012. You look at Rome right now, even the current Pope Benedict XVI has argued as a theologian that it would be okay for him to step down. He's getting feeble. They're wheeling him around on a cart everywhere he's going. The Vatican's own official voice piece, the El Osservatore Romano, their newspaper, had a feature article in it recently saying that the electors, the conclave, the College of Cardinals, are preparing for the conclave that is going to elect his successor, that they're already preparing for that now. So you see something that certainly could be fulfilled, and this imminently, which could be a major fulfillment.
Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is not really a biblical prophecy, but I still think I have to talk to you about it. Because there was a mystic by the name of St. Malachy who lived back in the 11th century. St. Malachy claims that he had a spiritual experience one day, and while in a trance, God showed him all of the popes that would exist from his time until the last pope. Malachi was given a prophecy of 112 popes. And in these 112 popes, there were given signs, little clues as to the identity of each one, all 112. Well, the writings of Malachi were stored away in a vault by one of the popes for about 300 years. They didn't have printing presses in those days, so the possibility of circulating the writings of St. Malachi were very small. But when Gutenberg invented the printing press, all of a sudden someone printed the prophecies of St. Malachi. And as the prophecies of St. Malachi began to be known, people became very interested, and they started counting the popes. Well, several hundred years had passed by that time. However, 112 total popes from St. Malachi to the last pope. Well, what's in fact happening right now? Pope John Paul II, who just died in 2005, was the 110th pope. No wonder interest in the prophecies of St. Malachi are reviving right now. When the cardinals came to Rome to elect the 111th pope, an article appeared, out of India, the day before the election, a man said to the cardinals, you must elect a giant spiritual leader. You must elect a pope that can appeal to young people. You must elect someone that can hold the church together. But he said, there's one more thing you must pay attention to when you elect the new pope tomorrow in the Sistine Chapel. Make sure you don't elect a pope that has anything to do with the olive, because the clue for the 111th pope was the glory of the olive, whatever that means. Well, the conclave was held, the white smoke came out of the Sistine Chapel chimney, and the word went out, we have a pope. When the identity of the pope was disclosed, it was Cardinal Ratzinger of Germany, and everybody thought, glory of the olive. Has nothing to do with it. I mean, you've never heard of a Ratzinger olive, I'm sure. And so everybody thought, surely not, this doesn't have anything to do with anything, even though he's the 111th Pope. Everybody was interested, though, in finding out what his name would be that he would rule under. You know, when popes are elected, they don't rule under their own name. They take a name like Pope John XXIII or Pope Pius XII, the last one, Pope John Paul II. So everybody wondered, how will Cardinal Ratzinger rule the church? What name? Because when a man picks a name, it usually is indicative of something that means something special to him. Well, the announcement was made the next day that the Pope would rule under the name of Benedict XVI. And everybody wondered, what's that got to do with anything? Saint Benedict was the patron saint of Europe. He was a very powerful man, and he gave birth to a powerful order called the Benedictine Order. Well, the Benedictine Order has been powerful in the Roman Catholic Church for a long time, and it has a symbol. You may be interested to know, and by now you've guessed it. The symbol of the Benedictine order is the olive. So he chose the glory of the olive. Now that he's the Pope representing the Benedictine order. So the question has to be asked, are we right now watching the 111th Pope? Now the prophecy says that in the days of the 112th Pope, Rome will be destroyed. Well, the prophecies of the Bible. I don't know what to say about the prophecies of St. Malachi. I don't know whether I believe them or don't. I'm simply telling you that if this is coincidence, it's very coincidental. But I do know this. The Bible says that right at the time of the Battle of Armageddon, the city of Rome is going to be destroyed. And that's what it says happens at the 112th Pope. Now, it's really interesting that this Pope just elected was elected at the age of 75. The cardinals chose an older pope on purpose because Pope John Paul II had ruled the church for so long that he had totally changed the texture of the church. They felt like they did not want a pope that would rule for a long time, so they picked a man 75 years of age. Today, he's 76 years of age. So how long will he rule? If, in fact, he is the next to the last pope, and all the other signposts that we're talking about today are coming to pass right now, then perhaps St. Malachi was on to something. Perhaps the next pope will be the last pope. Now remember, in the St. Malachi prophecy, it says the last pope will be Peter the Roman. Now whatever that means, apparently he's going to be a person from Italy. We've had two popes in a row not from Italy, the first two popes not from Italy in 455 years. All of a sudden, it looks like if St. Malachi's prophecy is correct, and I can't tell you whether it is or not. It's not biblical. It's just something that happened. But if, in fact, it is correct, after this pope dies, the next pope elected will preside over the destruction of the city of Rome. Several times in the book of Revelation, Rome is referred to as Mystery Babylon. Revelation 17, Mystery Babylon is called the city of seven hills. Rome is the city of seven hills. And the destruction of the city of Rome is mentioned several times in the book of Revelation. And that's what St. Malachi said. So here we are. You got St. Malachi's word, which you have to take with a grain of salt, but you got the Bible that you can take to the bank.